Awesome. Well, it's so great to chat with you. I'm a huge fan. And
Thanks.
I loved Party Down so much. So it was great
Thanks.
to see it in season three. So what was it like finding Henry again? I've always kind of equated this character to a little bit of a sadder version of Ben Wyatt. Like they're
Yeah.
maybe brothers, but did you ever feel like, oh, this is too much Ben Wyatt, or oh no, this is too much Henry, or whenever you were playing those characters?
You know, it's funny because, it was so long ago now, it's 13 years ago that we finished Party Down. And so, sort of playing the role again and going back to it, at the time when we started the show in 2009, I really kind of felt a lot of the same feelings that the character was feeling. I had been kicking around for about 15 years and hadn't really found a whole lot of traction in show business, and had been through the ringer a bit, as anyone has who's been in showbiz for a while. And so a lot of the feelings that the character was having, I related to directly, and as did the entire cast, which is part of the reason I think we all connected to it so quickly and directly, and connected with each other so so quickly and directly. But the funny thing is that now, 13 years later, circumstances are different, but that feeling, it's almost like how you always feel like a little kid when you're around your parents, no matter your age. That feeling of um, rejection uh, and melancholy is sort of always with you as an actor, no matter what success you may experience. That's that's still right there. You still feel like the same uh, person, and you still feel like the same actor who's being rejected and prone to to failure. At least for me. So that part of it was easy to find again, but I think part of why it was special coming back to it is that John Enbom had written the character not the same. He had written a character truly 13 years later, who's sort of past all of that and isn't trying to, doesn't have any ambitions to be an actor anymore. It's in the past, and he's a teacher now, and he's happy with that. Over the course of the season, that shifts a bit, but at least when we find him, it's in the rear view. So it was interesting to sort of find the character again, but then find these new colors and components that weren't there before.
Yeah, wow, that's so fascinating. I love that Henry is an English teacher. I thought that's pretty
Yeah,
on
me
point.
too.
When season two of Party Down ended, what did you imagine would happen to this character? Did that surprise you, or did you have no idea, or what did you think?
Well, the season two ended with him going to an audition and giving it a shot again. Finally facing up to the fact that he felt like he had unfinished business there, and had something to offer. And I think we find out in season two that Henry actually is a good actor,
Yeah.
and had been kind of ruined by this beer commercial, which had sort of ended up humiliating him a bit. And so, you know, uh, when it ended, we see him getting up and walking into an audition, and I feel like I hope I tend to think he got that role, and he had a couple of years of really making a go of it. But you know, it's a hard business, and uh, if you're gonna jump back into it, or jump into it in the first place, it has to be both feet, both arms, and everything. You have to just fully commit your life to it, and even if you do that, you may still be in for a lot of disappointment and rejection. And so I tend to think that Henry, at a certain point, after a few more years of giving it a go with limited success, just decided it wasn't for him, and he couldn't do it again.
Yeah, that makes sense. We never meet Henry's ex-wife, who he talks to on the phone, but how do you imagine they met? Like, I was even thinking, does he get back together with Uda, Kristen Bell?
No. Yeah.
Because she seems like an Uda type just from the way he talks to her.
Maybe. I mean, I felt like she was probably part of the reason he uh, pulled out of another go at show business, and part of the reason he decided to sort of settle down and find a steady job and have a bit more comfort and stability. And I think she was part of that. And and it's just over the course of the pandemic, they ran out of gas as a couple.
Like so many couples during the pandemic, I guess.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have great chemistry with Jennifer Garner. What was it like working with
Thanks.
her?
It was so fun. I mean, Jennifer is a great actor and such a hilarious, fun person to be around. When we were, looking for someone to play this role of Evie, we had Jennifer Garner sort of up on the board as the type that we would need for this role, never considering that this is the person who would end up playing the role because we just didn't think that was a possibility. And it wasn't until a couple of weeks in, really kind of discussing the part, did someone, I think Rob Thomas maybe, threw out the idea of actually trying to get Jennifer Garner, and it truly had not occurred to any of us. Um, and then, lucky for us, she was a fan of the show and ended up being a real possibility and doing it. And we couldn't believe it. The first day she showed up on set, we were just like, "Oh my god, okay, Jennifer Garner is going to be here. We need to feel like a real television show. Like we need to be on our best behavior." And ended up being a scene where where Ron Donald is having diarrhea in the middle of the kitchen. That was Jennifer Garner's first day, and
Oh
so we
my
were
god.
all just horrified. But she was the best. She was game for anything and brought so much to the role and to the show. So we're really lucky.
Yeah, because I feel like I see her a lot in dramas. She's really funny. I mean, we
Yeah,
knew this, but like it was really a good reminder of how funny she is.
totally. She's
Yeah.
great.
Did it ever feel like a betrayal for Henry to be with somebody else with so many fans like myself who loved him with Casey?
Well, I think, in a lot of ways, Casey is the love of his life. And,
Yeah.
I just don't think they, it was, it wasn't even a real relationship. They were
Right.
just like at work, and,
Yes.
and I think Henry was always in love with her from the second he ever met her. It just, and then she went on this, cruise
Yes.
after season one, and season two. After season two, I would imagine her career ended up taking off. I would imagine the beginnings of that probably were percolating soon after season two ended, and so I think they just never really got a chance, and it was never really spoken, really the terms of a relationship, or um, even the fact that he was, head over heels in love with her. I don't think that sort of thing was probably ever even said out loud.
I think that's
It's one
another
of,
I was gonna say that's another really relatable thing about this show is the workplace relationships and how,
uh-huh,
that is how it is. So, yeah.
sure.
Um, do you think how has Henry changed in 10 years? I was thinking about how he does shrooms during work, and I was like, would he have done that 10 years ago? I feel like he probably have, but I wasn't sure. I'm like, I feel like he has even less chill now. Like it's just kind of like kind of doing what he wants.
Yeah, I think, I mean, I think we're probably closer to season one Henry now than we were. I think, season two, when season two started, Henry was kind of the leader of
Yeah.
the group and Party Down, and was with Uda, like you said, and was really trying to make a career of this and get serious about it. And he kind of lets go of that eventually. But Um, I think when we find him here, he's really settled into his current life. Hasn't seen these people in a while, and at the in the first party, Kyle's Kyle's party celebrating this role he got, he realizes how much he misses these people and misses the nonsense of working at Party Down.
Yeah.
Um, and and so I think the fact that he ends up working there again ends up being he needs the money, but I think he also might might need these people in his life.
Yeah. Why do you think Henry ultimately keeps his job as a teacher and doesn't go with Evie to Tunisia? Or I think that's where he was supposed to go.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's a decision. It's part of what I love about uh, how John wrote this season and this character 13 years on is that this is a decision that he makes knowing that this sounds exciting, but it's not really something that's ever brought him happiness. It's never really ended up making him feel good, and it's a roll of the dice, really, trying to re-enter the acting world with a small role in a huge movie. Um, and I think he looks around and sees him. He's an English teacher, but he's also directing these plays. Sorry,
That's okay.
a sec. Have to. Here we go. He sees that these kids really need him and are
Yeah.
depending on him, and I don't think he's ever really had that. And I think that uh, guiding these kids in their high school theater is something that he finds genuinely rewarding, and he's not going to get that uh, you know, being number 14 on the call sheet in Tunisia. Um, it's just not the right time. And so I think he makes an incredibly mature decision to do something that feels right to him for him at the age he's at.
Yeah. I love the little moment with Casey at the end. That was kind of a surprise for her to show up, or did you know that she was going to Lizzie Kaplan was going to like come on, or like did you know that that was a possibility that was going to happen at the end of the show?
Yeah, we planned it. We had it planned from the beginning that we would have this secret little shoot in New York. We did it after we had wrapped the season. I think like 2 or 3 weeks later, we went out to New York on a weekend and secretly shot this scene with Lizzie, and thankfully it didn't leak out
Yeah.
or no one knew about it because we were dead set on preserving that surprise for Party Down fans.
So do you think that will there be more? Like, I mean, clearly it's not over between Casey and Henry at the end, but is there more party down stories to tell? Or are
Yeah,
there?
yeah, I hope so. I mean, it's I think everybody on the show, all the actors certainly would love to come back, and um, so it's just a matter of stars wanting to do more, and they've been so amazing to us this season, just letting us do another season and really doing such an incredible job of pushing it out into the world. But it depends on whether they want to do more of them, and it's a matter of scheduling all of these actors and making sure everybody's available to do it.
And you're busy too. You've got Severance season 2. So
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Everybody's busy, which is really great, because that's not really the way it wasn't the busiest group of people back in the day.
Yeah.
So it's really terrific that everyone's gotten so busy.
So it's almost like you're I mean, you are Henry in some way. You're going back to your roots with this the way he's going back to his roots with like this group of people.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a nice way of thinking about it.
Yeah. This has been such a pleasure. I'm a huge fan. So,
Oh,
yeah.
thanks, Megan.
Thank you so much for your
Appreciate it.
time and
Yeah, thank you.
yeah, have a wonderful weekend.
Yeah, you too. Take care.
Thanks.